What's up, everybody? Thank you for joining me today. Hope everybody's having a good morning today. Now, I just watched a Michael Saylor interview on CoinDesk.com, and he said some interesting things that I wanted to highlight and give my opinions on. So I cut it up, make it a lot quicker. If you want to watch the whole interview, feel free to go on CoinDesk and watch it there. It's about 15 minutes long, but I cut up the highlights and I'm just going to talk about them quick. First off, though, if at any point you enjoy this video or want to just show support for my channel, please consider hitting the like button, hitting the subscribe button, and turning on post notifications so you can always be here as soon as I upload videos. Thank you guys, I appreciate it. Alright, so on to the first clip. This one he just kind of talks about whether he thinks you should buy Bitcoin now, and he talks about inflation a little bit. So roll the clip.
A lot of newcomers to the space always ask, is now the right time to buy?
Well, it's always the right time to buy. We have a long-term view on this. I think that this is the decade of Bitcoin. This last decade was the first decade of Bitcoin, and it reached multi-hundred billion dollars by March of 2020. But I think the pandemic catalyzed the next phase of growth and caused it to mature and come to the attention of institutional investors. And so I think the coming decade is the decade when institutions, corporations, governments, and the like begin to adopt Bitcoin as a digital asset. And so institutions have reason to be concerned about inflation. Between that and the commodity inflation, which is rampant, I think Paul Tudor Jones' message is a good one for Bitcoin. He's saying that he's upping his allocation from 1 or 2% to 5%. That's great. I think it signals that institutional adoption is coming. I think it's only rational to look for a monetary inflation hedge at this point.
So I pretty much agree with that. He's pretty much saying that it's always a good time to buy Bitcoin because in the long term, Bitcoin always goes up. And given that we're in the middle of a massive correction right now, so the prices are on sale, you could say, and there's lots of talks of inflation and people using Bitcoin as a hedge against inflation, you could even say that it's a extra good time to buy now. So in the next clip, he talks about how pretty much Elon is not doing what he's saying, which we pretty much all know at this point that he's a bit of a hypocrite. He says whatever he wants and then he does whatever's best for him. And he also talks about the China mining situation and how China is decommissioning a lot of their Bitcoin mining facilities, and how he thinks that it could cause a majority of the hash rate to move over to the US, and how it could ultimately be good for the Bitcoin industry as a whole.
I thought it was awesome news because what he was saying was, first of all, he hasn't sold any additional Bitcoin. He confirmed that they'd only sold the publicly disclosed amount. I thought that was bullish. He also indicated that there are some circumstances under which he would continue to accumulate or continue accumulating Bitcoin. I thought that was really a good message. I thought it was a message of support for Bitcoin. And I think if you combine it with the latest China news, I think the implication is a lot of China hash rate that's running on dirty coal is being turned off and decommissioned. So, and I think that once we sort out what that means, we'll conclude that the network is migrating to the US. The network is decentralizing further. The difficulty rate has dropped, and that's great news for every existing Bitcoin miner outside of China. And for anybody that wanted to see Bitcoin become more sustainable and more carbon neutral, we just saw 30 exahash, which is 20% of the network, which presumably was the coal burning 20% of the network in China, come off the grid. And so there's really, really interesting and positive developments here, I think, for everybody in the Bitcoin industry.
Michael.
And again, I agree with him on the fact that I think this whole situation could be beneficial, especially for the US, considering how much of the hash rate China held before this. And I mean, the fact that Bitcoin's going green is pretty cool too. If we really want to go green, everybody would shut off their air conditioners, considering they use over 30% of the world's power every year. But Nobody wants to talk about air conditioners. They want to talk about Bitcoin. Anyways, this next clip, he talks about El Salvador and a few other countries, including Lebanon, which he said just lost 90% of their currency's purchasing power. So would not be surprised if they start looking to Bitcoin as well.
Um, there's just a lot of passion in the community right now, and I just never seen such strong morale and lots of really positive stories. I think people are very charged up about what's going on in El Salvador. That was a big highlight. I think the developments in Nigeria and Tanzania are highlights. I think that the news this weekend out of Lebanon that Lebanese have lost 90% of the value of their local currency and their dollar amounts or dollar balances are frozen by the banking system. I think that punctuates just how important Bitcoin is to the entire world. And I think you could feel that passion in Miami. Everybody feels like this is the idea whose time has come. And we have an opportunity to spread property rights and human rights to 8 billion people around the world.
So lots of things to think about there. All right, and here's something that I'm wondering what you guys think of this, because I'm going to provide a bit of a counter argument to this afterwards. But he seems to think that the that Bitcoin is ultimately going to be good for the U.S. dollar. It's going to help the U.S. dollar reach more people rather than try and replace it. So all right, yeah, just play that clip.
I wonder what you think will happen to the US dollar in the future amid this digital economic shift.
I think the US dollar is going to spread to 5 billion people. I think that this decade is going to see the explosion of the US dollar as the reserve currency of the world. It'll be the digital currency that'll be on every iPhone and every Android phone in every country in Africa and Asia and South America. And it'll move on Bitcoin rails. The Bitcoin open monetary protocol is what allows the US dollar to spread to billions of people. In an inflationary environment, money breaks down into two forms. There's a medium of exchange, we'll call it the currency, and that'll be controlled by governments, and the US currency is going to be the most powerful one. And then you need a store of value, and that's an asset, and Bitcoin is the most powerful store of value on earth. So,
Do you mean
So he says that it's going to move on the rails of Bitcoin. And I mean, I can see it's possible. I know they did just come out with a Bitcoin upgrade, like the Lightning Network, which causes transaction speeds to be faster and allow you to pay less in fees or something like that. If you just look at this chart, the yellow line right here is Tether run on Bitcoin, or Omni, which is run on Bitcoin, and this black line is Tether on Ethereum. And I mean, you can see which one is the obvious favorite as of now, but Michael Saylor seems to think that that is going to change, and that the US dollar, or whatever stablecoin is supported by the US dollar is being used, is going to run on Bitcoin rather than Ethereum. I don't know if I agree with that, but let me know what you guys think. Put it down in the comments. Alright guys, well that does it for this video. Be sure to come back at around 3 o'clock. I should have my next video uploaded by then. If you enjoyed anything in this video, please hit the like, hit the subscribe, turn on my notifications. Thank you guys, I appreciate your support, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.